Dragon Ball Super episode 72 is now officially in the history books, and with that being said, here today we're going to be diving into our official predictions video going into Dragon Ball Super episode 73, featuring Gohan the Great Saiyaman and of course Jaco the Galactic Patroller. So keep in mind this video will contain massive amounts of spoilers going into Dragon Ball Super episode 73 alongside our predictions as to what may or may not happen. So we have reached the conclusion between Son Goku and of course the legendary assassin known as Hit, and we're transitioning now into more of a comedic episode going into Dragon Ball Super episode 73, with Gohan being made into a film premiering on January 8th, 2017, with Gohan's misfortune as the Great Saiyaman is now going to be featured in the film. So I guess we can all predict here that next week's episode is going to be a very, very lighthearted episode. Don't expect too much out of this because we're going to see two variations of this episode next week featuring Gohan and Jaco, two different perspectives as Gohan's Great Saiyaman is going to be put into a film, and of course Jaco's job in keeping and preserving a criminal known as Watsugashu is going to be escaping him. So we're going to have two different stories going into next week, guys. Of course, this is all going to be building towards the Universal Survival arc featuring the Omni King, the Daishinkan, and of course from the other universes, fighters from the other multiverse. We're going to have 12 universes, 10 fighters per universe, and of course equaling out to 120 fighters. So going into next week's episode, guys, we saw the episode preview. We get to see Hercule and Gohan. They're going to be having a huge interaction alongside Jaco, who seems to be, you know, caught off guard by going to a ramen stand in space and having to pursue this war criminal. So it's going to be kind of interesting to see how Jaco is going to be pursuing this criminal. Now, in terms of the Great Saiyaman, I was never a fan of the Great Saiyaman, but I do have high hopes for Dragon Ball Super next week because I do think that comedic relief is needed before we start getting into all the chaos and madness that is of the universe survival arc, because of course we do understand that the multiverse is in jeopardy. The losing team will have their universe destroyed, which puts a lot of pressure on every single fighter. So my official prediction is that Gohan is going to be very mellowed out. I mean, I'm actually kind of surprised that he's going to be placed into a film because a lot of us do understand and know that Gohan often studies, he's often hitting the books, so it's not really, you know, up to Gohan's character or nature to be starting himself in a film. But we are going to see someone, you know, going to be portraying the role of Great Saiyaman in this film, as it is stated, and I translate, and of course I quote, "Unexpected events get Gohan in high spirits. Great Saiyaman and Hercule will have their dream match in a movie. Saiyaman is set to be played by an actor called Belson Khan, but Gohan himself volunteers to as his own stuntman in dangerous scenes in replace of Khan." So that right there I think is just best suited for Gohan, because since Gohan is impervious to damage, I think that he himself can just, you know, volunteer for his own stunts, which is going to be really funny because, I mean, has anyone ever thought about seeing the Great Saiyaman versus Hercule? It's like the man that serves and protects and just stands up for justice versus the world champion of the world, the guy that beat quote-unquote Cell and Majin Buu. So we're going to have the Great Saiyaman, the protector of justice and the upholder of peace, versus the world martial arts champion, which is going to be hilarious because I'm actually kind of curious as to who's going to win this fight. So comment down below, guys, is it going to be Great Saiyaman or is it going to be Hercule? Because I'm putting all my money on Mr. Satan, as he is going to be the winner, the undecisive winner here, because obviously enough, Hercule always tends to have sort of like the last laugh. So I think that if Gohan, quote unquote, is going to be fighting Hercule in this like epic showdown dream match, obviously enough, I think the world martial arts champion is going to be winning this, and Gohan's going to be flat on his ass in this film. Now, in terms of Jaco, again, don't expect anything crazy from Goku or Vegeta. If anything, I think that we're going to get to see Whis and Beerus talk to Goku, talk to Vegeta, talk to these guys about this tournament coming up, because maybe they have more or less some information as to when the Omni King is planning on starting this. So we might get to see a little bit of that. And in terms of Jaco having to be pursuing this, you know, criminal, this heinous criminal, as Jaco stops at a ramen stand in space to be pursuing this war criminal right after, it's pretty funny because how the hell do you get distracted by a ramen stand in space? So more or less of that, guys. It's going to be a comedic relief episode. Don't expect anything too crazy. And of course, I do want to touch up on the universe survival arc, because I do think this tournament is going to be very crucial, in case you guys have missed out my previous videos on the overall discussion as to what may or may not happen in terms of interference, in terms of possible new forms, in terms of MVPs. But I do think that whatever's going to happen during Dragon Ball Super episode 73, 74, it isn't going to carry too much weight going into this arc. The only thing that we saw so far was the fact that Vegeta was training with Whis, which is very, very important, because Whis already knows and Vegeta already knows that this tournament is going to be very important, and Beerus also knows the importance of this tournament, so he doesn't want to risk anything at all. But of course, our secondary characters, which happens to be Gohan, Krillin, 18, 17, Piccolo, Tien, Shinhan, all these other characters, they're not really doing anything to benefit towards this tournament. Nobody's informed, nobody truly knows that they're going to be recruited, but of course, Dragon Ball Super Episode 73 is setting up for more of a comedic relief than anything else, and Dragon Ball Super Episode 74 as well. Now, it pertains to Dragon Ball Super Episode 75, Episode 76, Episode 77, we can only assume that only then is this new arc going to begin, and having a look at what happened with Son Goku and Hits, in case you guys have missed out my breakdown review, it was really disappointing to see this not turn into an arc itself, but nonetheless, Gohan is going to be featured again in another slice of life episode. I mean, the other episode that I can count to this one was when he was taking care of Pan. So I want to know down below, do you guys believe that Dragon Ball Super is taking things like just way too lightly with Gohan, at least for the time being? However, we do see him a part of the arc, and we do see him a part of the team, so he will be fighting. However, what are your overall thoughts on the build up to that? Because as of right now, he's in his own movie, he's taking care of Pan, we see him interacting with Trunks momentarily at a very lighthearted moment, so it's nothing too extreme, and we can only assume that he's been training with Piccolo. Of course, with that being said, I want to know your overall thoughts based on what's going to be happening next week, and if you guys believe that next week's filler episode is going to be entertaining, because I still stand on the idea that we are going to see Hercule be the victor of this little dream match between Great Saiyaman and, of course, Hercule himself. But I don't think this episode is going to be as funny or as good as Dragon Ball Super Episode 70, because that was the episode featuring Champa and everyone playing baseball, and that episode in and of itself was hilarious from start to finish. So I want to know your overall thoughts going into this, and of course, what are your overall thoughts on Jaco having to pursue this criminal, having to be distracted by ramen? Leave your thoughts down below, guys. Once again, thank you all for watching. I truly hope you guys enjoyed it. If you guys did enjoy, make sure to leave a like down below, and of course, I wanted to wish you all a very Merry Christmas, everyone. I hope you guys have a wonderful holiday season. There will not be an episode coming up next week on New Year's. We're going to be resuming that for Dragon Ball Super Episode 73 on January 8th. So there is no episode on New Year's. This was the final episode of 2016. What are your overall thoughts on Hits, on Goku, on Beerus? What are your overall thoughts going into the new year? Starting off the new year with Gohan, out of all people, having a moment going into his own movie, guys. Comment down below. Thank you all for watching. As always, if you guys are new to the channel, don't forget to subscribe. I hope you guys enjoy the live stream as well. Tomorrow, we're going to be live streaming all day for a Christmas special. So for those of you out there who are Dragon Ball fans, make sure to tune in, because we're going to have ourselves a very Merry Christmas together as a family. And my final predictions, guys, as I just said, is don't expect anything too crazy, don't expect anything too violent, but I do want to touch up real fast on what I expect to happen during this Universal Tournament. Now, I am going to be making a video with a couple of friends discussing the idea of the Grand Priest being the villain of the next arc. Now, the emphasis has been focused more or less on the Daishinkan, which is the Grand Priest, in the episode trailer, more so than anything or anyone that was showcased aside from Zeno. So are they foreshadowing the Grand Priest as a possible villain? Are they going to be, giving us like some sort of a red herring as to he is the primary guy? I do believe that if the Grand Priest, and again, if the Grand Priest turns out to be a villain, I think it wouldn't be as original, because we have the fact that Zamasu was once also a villain himself, and he came from Kaioshin roots. He came from trying to be a Kaioshin in Universe 10, and he fell through by being a rogue, and he went about his evil ways. So now having an angel as high up as the Grand Priest having to turn evil or have his own agenda, I think would reflect on Zamasu's story and taking away a lot of that. So I do hope to see something else happen. I do hope to see another fighter from a different universe perhaps jump in the mix. And I know that we're making this prediction a little too far ahead of time, but I want to know down below your overall thoughts as to who is going to be the primary villain. Now again, I'm going to touch up more of this in my review, in my discussion video. I'm going to talk about Whis, Vados, the Grand Priest, and possible other characters that actually might be foreshadowed as the main villains. But as of right now, we don't know entirely as to what's going to happen. We do know that all the universes are in jeopardy, and we see that there is somewhat of a reaction between Goku, Beerus, and the Supreme Kai after witnessing one of the universes get destroyed. So even though Gohan is a part of this, I really doubt that, and I'll be honest, I really doubt that Gohan will receive training. I think Gohan is going to be going into this tournament possibly either being trained a little bit by Piccolo or just strictly going in the way he is now. And I don't think that Beerus or Whis are going to be focusing more or less on the other fighters. I think that Beerus's trump cards are going to be Goku and Vegeta. Those are going to be the guys. Now, a lot of people have been talking about Fusion returning. I highly doubt that Fusion will return in Dragon Ball Super's new arc. However, it is possible, especially with the retcons happening. So I want to know down below what are your overall thoughts on Gohan being a part of a movie, because again, I'm not really a fan of the Great Saiyaman. I want to see Gohan train. I want to see Gohan be a part of something else. Even if he's talking to Videl, talking to Pan, interacting with Piccolo, I think that would have been much more better than having him be a part of some silly movie. I don't think the movie role is for him. If anything, the glitz, the glamour, the glory, it should have been given to other characters, perhaps Oolong, perhaps Jaco, anyone else aside from Gohan, because although it is somewhat of a dream match, having the savior of the masses, that being the Great Saiyaman, and the world champion of the world having to have like their own little showdown, is interesting enough. It's sort of like that giant like collab like that we see in movies like Iron Man versus Captain America, so that's exactly their version of this. It's going to be Iron Man versus Captain America, Great Saiyaman versus Hercule, but I don't think it's best needed, especially going forward in this upcoming tournament. So I want to know down below, guys, what are your overall thoughts on Gohan? I mean, being featured in his own film and stuff. Comment down below. Thank you all for watching, guys. Once again, tune in for the next video, and I'll be seeing you all later. Merry Christmas, everybody, and happy holidays. Love you guys. Peace.